a Democratic protest, a measles outbreak, and Trump's tariffs take effect. We're officially living through the most boring part of the Star Wars prequels. And more on this week's America Uncovered headlines. Welcome to America Uncovered. I'm Chris Chappell. To quote the world's greatest living philosopher, Chris Tucker, "Do you understand the words that are coming out of my mouth? If so, then you speak the official tongue of America," as President Trump signed an executive order designating English as the official language of the U.S. This order rescinds a Clinton-era mandate that required government agencies and organizations to provide services and documents in languages other than English. Now they can choose whether to do so or not. So don't expect the DMV in California to get any less confusing anytime soon. Speaking of Trump, in a post on Truth Social, the president says all federal funding will stop for any college, school, or university that allows illegal protests. And he vowed that agitators will be expelled, imprisoned, or even deported. This, of course, horrified Democrats who believe in freedom of speech, specifically the freedom for dozens of politicians to release the exact same copy and paste speech attacking Trump at the exact same time.
When I win, I will immediately bring prices down starting on day one.
Is there a leak somewhere, or is that just the sound of my ears bleeding? Now, at first glance, Trump's announcement does seem like a violation of the First Amendment, as many are pointing out. However, the key word here is illegal. Because while the First Amendment gives you the right to protest, it does not give you the right to break the law while doing so. You can't set a building on fire and say the First Amendment protects you just because you did it in protest of Demi Moore not winning for Best Actress even if she was totally robbed. And precedence for this was set when a federal judge last year ruled that UCLA can't allow pro-Palestinian protesters to block Jewish students from attending their classes on campus. Since that violates the Jewish students' First Amendment right to peacefully assemble in a classroom. So free speech is still free as long as it's legal. Even when it's so horrifying and ear-bleed-inducing, it feels like it should be illegal. There is a measles outbreak in West Texas. As of this recording, 2 deaths have been reported. These are the first reported measles deaths in the U.S. in over a decade. The first person who died was an unvaccinated child. The second, an unvaccinated adult. But it's not just Texas. Canada is also facing one of its largest measles outbreaks ever, with over 140 reported cases. Man, I wonder what could have possibly happened in the past couple of years that might have made a lot of people around the globe distrust governments and pharmaceutical industries. Making matters worse is the fact that the biggest anti-vaxxer on the planet is U.S. Secretary of Health and Human Services RFK Jr., who doesn't want anyone getting any shots for any reason. And what's that, Shelley? Robert F. Kennedy Jr. wrote an op-ed for Fox telling people to get their measles vaccines. Wow, you think you know a person. However, many focused less on RFK Jr. encouraging people to be vaccinated and more on him calling vaccination a personal choice. I knew he was a crazy conspiracy theorist. He called vaccines a personal choice, which is what they are, at least legally speaking in Texas. Because the government doesn't just go around giving people unwanted shots, unless they're Kennedy. And after the break, Trump's State of the Union. Welcome back. Trump gave his State of the Union speech, that special time of year, where half of Congress gives 40 partisan standing ovations, making an already long speech way longer than it needs to be. But this year was different, because Democrats, who have long accused Trump of being a fascist and claim he's irresponsibly harming our democracy, decided to fight back in the most brutal way imaginable, with benign protest slogans on ping pong paddles. That was mocked as ineffective and pathetic by liberals, and photoshopped and turned into memes by conservatives. So a win. Democrat Congressman Al Green was removed by the Sergeant of Arms for refusing to sit down and stay quiet. So their most effective strategy was essentially the same one used by Marjorie Taylor Greene when she heckled Joe Biden during one of his State of the Union speeches, though she quieted down before being removed. When your best strategy is copying Marjorie Taylor Greene, you know you've lost the plot. But between Al and Marjorie Taylor, maybe this isn't a partisan issue, but a green issue. Maybe these hecklers should form some sort of green party. But not all reactions from the left were so negative to Trump's speech. There was a heartwarming moment where Trump made DJ Daniel, a 13-year-old battling brain cancer, an honorary Secret Service agent. MSNBC's Nicole Wallace was touched by the gesture.
But I think this was a lesson in finding one thing that you let yourself feel. And I let myself feel joy about DJ. And I hope he's alive for another, 95 years, right? And I hope he has a long life as a law enforcement officer.
Wow, that was beautiful.
But I hope he never has to defend the United States Capitol against Donald Trump's supporters.
Okay, that's a weird, specific hypothetical. Maybe stop while you're ahead.
And if he does, I hope he isn't one of the 6 who loses his life to suicide.
Yeah, I'm going to focus on the positive and also hope that a 13-year-old battling brain cancer doesn't commit suicide. Just never thought I'd have to clarify that. Speaking of things that make people facepalm in confusion, Trump's tariff war. Donald Trump officially enacted 25% tariffs on imports from Canada and Mexico and imposed an additional 10% on imports from China, bringing the total up to 20%. The stock market didn't respond terribly well to the news, with expected price increases due to all these tariffs causing several stocks to plunge. These tariffs had been on pause for a month with Mexico and Canada, but that month is now up. So it's time for Mexico and Canada to face the music. And what's that, Shelley? Oh, some of the tariffs on Mexico and Canada have been delayed yet again. Nothing like being on a roller coaster, emotionally and economically. Trump says these are a tool used to gain leverage and to battle trade deficits and illegal immigrants and drugs flowing into America across both borders. And if you're thinking, I get Mexico, but why Canada? Then check out this video from my twin brother, China Uncensored's Chris Chappell. Short answer, China. The long answer?
China.
China.
China. China. China.
China.
China. China. China.
China.
Before being delayed once again, Trump's tariffs were met with promises of retaliatory tariffs from Mexico, Canada, and China. For anyone wondering why Trump is doing this, in a series of posts on Truth Social, he wrote that this is an incentive for businesses to move to the United States and threatened that if Canada's Prime Minister, Justin Trudeau, imposed retaliatory tariffs, the U.S. will increase tariffs on Canada by a like amount. Essentially, Trump is risking short-term pain for long-term gain. He said this previously.
We may have short-term some little pain, and people understand that, but long-term, the United States has been ripped off by virtually every country in the world.
So he said it will just be short-term pain. Or did he say it?
Long term, it's gonna make our country a fortune.
So Americans should prepare for some short-term pain.
No, you said that. I didn't say that. You know?
Well, if the prices go up.
Let's see what happens. Nobody really knows what is going to happen.
Well, I definitely agree. Nobody really knows what's going to happen. All we can really do until then is speculate. In English! Before you go, be sure to check out this other episode of America Uncovered. The algorithm knows is best for you. Don't question the algorithm. It knows if you do. Once again, I'm Chris Chappell. Thank you for watching America Uncovered.